Good morning, Coolest Coast. It is Tuesday, August 11th, 66 degrees. It's a beautiful day on the Coolest Coast, and you are joining us for coffee with Kristin and Tina. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studios. I am joined by my pal, Kristin Odell of Grow with Kalo. Kristin, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I've got my coffee, my Packer mug.
Every Tuesday, Kristin, you are rocking the sun-kissed look. Tell us about this.
So we spent almost the last week camping. At least the girls and I did. Doug at work. Sorry, bud. So last Tuesday, Grace had a softball game in the evening, and as soon as we got done there, we drove north and went up to Shawano County Park, which is one of my absolute favorite parks, and spent Tuesday through Friday camping up there. And I had to drive back and forth for a couple of softball games, but it was entirely worth it. And then over the weekend, we had the pleasure of leaving from Shawano County Park and heading up to White Lake area to Silver Birch Ranch for family camp, which was through church. So let's see, I think Jason might have a couple of pictures here. We'll see if he's ready.
Horseback riding. How cool is that?
So the picture on the right is one of the activities we got to sign up for at family camp. So we go to Faith Church, and this is one of their annual events to go up there. And we were able to do horseback riding. So Grace is actually in the blue shirt with the writing on the back kind of up front. And I was obviously behind her, but there was a really bad storm last year up there at tornado level. And we got to take this beautiful horseback ride through these grounds where they're clearing wood and stuff. It was beautiful. And then the picture on the left is from her birthday at Shawano. So she turned 11 on Friday. And she's not 5, she's 11. Sometimes
I was wondering about that.
Sometimes you just have to make do with what you have. So, but she had birthday pancakes on Friday morning to celebrate her birthday and kind of kick off her day. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, it was such a fabulous weekend. And I don't know if Jason has our family picture from camp. There it is. But yeah, that's our picture from Friday night at church camp. And so we just had a really great weekend. And, I think much like other families right now, the last 2 weeks with making decisions with school and trying to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it has been really heavy. I know Doug and I were kind of button heads a little bit about what we wanted to do. And I've heard that from a lot of couples, these are not easy decisions to make, and they often impact work and other things. So it was like a relief to just get away and recharge and
And were you able to make the decision about school? Did you guys choose a path?
We did. We actually kind of decided last week before we left. So then it was just kind of soaking in that decision and kind of figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to get ready for that choice? So it's been interesting. So how about for you? What are you guys doing with Teak?
Yeah, it was really a struggle because it's hard to know, like, what is the right answer? What is his right decision to make? So we really sat down and talked it through him. And because he's at the high school, they're offering a blended model where it's like 2 half days and then the rest is virtual, or you could do 100% virtual. And he really is just missing the social component of connecting with his peers at this age. And so he really wants to do the blended model. So we're gonna give that our best go.
Sure.
I'm nervous, but I think, I don't know. I really don't know what the right choice is, but given that choice, and that's the one he wants, I guess that's the way we're gonna go.
Right.
It's just so strange because usually school is this definitive bookend, right? That's in September. It's almost like this reset, and you know exactly how then your daily schedule is going to go and what you have to prepare for. And this year it's just totally different. Like, we're mid-August and I don't have that same feeling that I typically do approaching September. I feel a little bit like I'm flapping in the wind, a little lost.
Right. Yeah, I really understand that. We actually made a decision. We're going to be homeschooling through the Traverse School District Lighthouse Academy. And so we went from, like you said, having these bookends that were so consistent and regular to just something completely different. But I believe ultimately it's going to help our family at least have a little bit more control about our schedule, and hopefully have a good school year, a positive school year. The girls are excited now. I think it's, we're all settling into that decision a little bit. And like you said, the social aspect is important. So we're also looking forward to partnering with some other families that are doing the same thing so that they can still have the kids and the play and everything that they need. So
Nice.
yeah, heavy decisions for an August this year, but
yeah, I spent time with my mom, and we, got out the sewing machine and our fabric scissors, and we cut and made a bunch of masks so that, like, going back to school has some masks that we can wash every day. And while it was, strange and unsettling to have to do that, to be making masks in the midst of a pandemic, the silver lining was it was amazing to spend that quality time, like, with my mom doing this, like, traditional art and craft and, like, making something productive. So there's a really, like, positive upshot to something kind of, dark and depressing.
Right. Well, and I think just the concept of, like, working together and finding your path or finding what you're going to do, and being able to do it together with somebody else is really special too. And I know
Agreed.
One of our good followers, Miss Mary, had a post that, her sister-in-law passed away and life is short. And, I just so understand and respect her position on that, because you have that moment of reflection, like, wow, so how special for you to be able to have that time with your mom. And, sometimes what becomes mindless sewing is really just really nice time together.
Right. Well, and during these times, one thing that I take comfort in is art. Just being able to look at and enjoy art. And here in Manitowoc, we are so fortunate with the Rahr West Art Museum. And this morning, we're going to be bringing a guest on. But before we do, I have this little jar. I don't know if you can see. I'm just going to show you for a moment. It is filled with gummies. Oh, and our producer has a picture. And if you can guess the number of gummies, then there's this prize. I have one of these donated by Heartorama. So Heartorama, it's their 50th anniversary. Unfortunately, they can't have a show this year, but their mission is still so important. So this is a CPR Anytime kit it's a great way for families to learn how to do CPR together. It comes with, like, a little like blow up dummy that you can practice on, and just kind of gives you all of the skills so that you can learn CPR at home and have those skills. So in the chat, tell us how many gummies. Don't let them look at it too long, or they'll be able to count. Tell us how many gummies you think, and we'll be giving that prize at the end of the show. And now, joining us this morning is Diana Bolander, the assistant. Oh, Diana, I screwed it up already. The assistant director at the Rahr West Art Museum, right?
Yes.
Oh, good. And curator. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Thanks for having me today.
How's everything going over there?
Oh, pretty good. We've been open since the beginning of June, and we're having some exhibit change also. And we've got some exciting news about our Arts Bridges exhibit that we have up right now. So we've got a grant to do some extra programming. So in the next month, we'll be pushing out some new programs. It'll be fun.
That is really cool. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the current Art Bridges pieces that you have installed? Well, you would call those what, conceptual art?
Yes, definitely conceptual art, definitely contemporary art. So it's a little bit different than what we traditionally have. It challenges your assumptions about what art is. When you come in, these two pieces, one's by Terry Atkins, and it's consisted of symbols that are, there it is, so that are in this low dome shape. It was inspired by the shape of a tortoiseshell. And there's a contraption underneath. I call it a contraption because I got to put it together, and it has this computer system set up so that it goes off at different times, and has these different programs that it plays throughout the day at somewhat random intervals, so it may go off behind me at any time.
Cool.
And the other piece is by Felix Gonzalez Torres, and it's also made of unconventional art art materials, I would say. It's made up of about 50 pounds of green hard candies that are on the floor, and people can come up and take one and eat it if they so wish. And it really is, both of these works offer a really different experience than what we usually offer with art from our own collection, which tends to be more traditional paintings, prints, and sculptures. You don't normally interact with them directly except through your site. So it's really fun to have people react to the sound and to participate in the work.
It's not often that you're encouraging visitors to take something from the artwork and to eat a piece of candy from the artwork. And I think both of those pieces, while they're cool to look at, they're much, you can have a much deeper understanding when you know the story behind them. And I know the story behind the candy piece really moved me and gave me a much deeper appreciation. Can you tell us just a little bit about that story?
Sure. So Felix Gonzalez Torres, he created a number of these candy spills that consist of basically a pile of candy on the floor. And he started doing it with fortune cookies. And he actually doesn't, or he never did during his lifetime, assign an actual interpretation to it. But one of the readings of the works is that it's manifestation of the body. His partner, Ross, died of AIDS. And this piece was made the same year that he died. And the gradual deterioration and replenishment of the candy is seen as sort of the body being devastated by illness and disease. So there is a piece that, not this one, but another piece that starts out around the same body weight that Ross would have been at a healthy age. And in that piece, it's not replenished. So it actually does sort of disappear through the life of the exhibit itself. So yeah, so there's a really deeper meaning than you might first see when you come in around the corner and say, why is there a pile of candy on the floor? But I think that moment when you do come around the corner and you're like, what is this? I think that's a really important moment for people, and it's challenging us in a way that that we aren't always challenged to think about, like, what are we looking at? What is around us? It really gets us into that sort of critical thinking space.
I love that concept of art as challenging us, as, you know, convincing us to probe deeper and giving us that opportunity to do it. That's wonderful. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that we don't usually have things that you can touch and eat, right? And when we opened this exhibit, it was supposed to open in May, and the museum was closed through the first week of June because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we actually talked about whether or not we should have this piece out right now, because it does involve touching and taking. And we took away everything else in the museum that you can touch. So the hands-on discovery gallery is closed. There's no brochures out. There's nothing really that you can touch. You can go through the whole building if you use the handicap entrance buttons and not touch anything. So we really did talk a lot about whether we should have it out or not. But I think that the fact that this piece is responding to the AIDS epidemic it sort of speaks to our time in a way, that it's about loss and suffering. And it allows us to think about what we're going through right now and how what are we going to take away from that?
Right. And, you know, you mentioned the path. I really do like how at the museum you have laid out an art path where you've got the arrows on the floor and that guides on the wall, keeping people going in a certain direction to keep that social distance maintained.
Yep. Yep, and that was really the brainchild of Greg, the director. And it really works wonders. I mean, one of the blessings and the curses is our attendance is much lower than it usually is for this time of year because people are staying home. But I think in a way that's good. And one of the things that's really exciting about the programming money we got is that if people aren't comfortable coming, even with the precautions that we're taking, we're actually contracting with Coolest Coast to make video pieces about each of these pieces so people will be able to experience them from their homes, which is a really great opportunity for us to have right now.
Yeah, it's very cool. There's a comment from Bonita, and she's mentioning the Ron Stokes show, and that was very cool. So you had the Ron Stokes retrospective, and then over the weekend, his widow, or his wife of 61 years, Dolly Stokes, came down and did a gallery talk and really provided some insight and a little bit more information about the man behind the art. It was very cool. I was really touched by it.
Yeah, it was, I think touching is definitely the right word. The intent of the exhibit was not to be a retrospective in the way that we would represent everything Ron ever did, but it was more of an opportunity for people in the community to tell their stories about Ron. So to be able to have Sally come in and do that talk, it really was an honor, like, to be a part of that.
And I really loved her sense of humor. You could tell, and she shared a sense of humor with Ron. I loved how she showed an early sketch, and she's like, huh, he really thought he was handsome. I never really saw him like this.
She is really funny. She has some really great stories.
Yeah, and during her talk too, you could hear the cymbals go off from time to time, the cymbals that are behind you from the Terry Atkins.
Yeah, and they haven't gone off yet, so they might not be on yet.
So Diana, how long have you been involved in the arts? How long have you been with the Rahr West Art Museum?
I've been with the Art Museum here for about a little over 2 years. I've been working in museums since 2006. I should know that off the top of my head, sorry. I went to school for art history and graphic design, and then I went to graduate school for arts management. So I've been really lucky to be able to work in museums and contribute, and my goal is really to get people involved and talking about art and understanding how it's relevant in their everyday lives.
Diana, when you guys are selecting art and different exhibits, how far out do you work, and how do you ever choose what to put in?
Yeah, well, we try to work a couple years out. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Right now, we're finalizing the exhibit schedule for next year and the year after. So how do we choose? There's a lot of different factors. People will actually send us proposals for exhibits sometimes, and we'll look at those. We do every once in a while bring in traveling exhibits. So we'll pay money to bring in like the modern prints exhibit that was here a couple years ago was on loan from another museum. And we also do a lot of exhibits from our own collection. I think it's important as a public museum. We're part of the city that we represent the city itself too. So we've been trying to do a lot more local artists. We also have a lot of things that we just do every year. So the table settings exhibit in the fall, Christmas in the Mansion, the Manitowoc members and county exhibit that's going to start up in a couple weeks. So there's all these things that are kind of regular players on the schedule too.
It's fantastic.
And I see
and I think we can
right up there. The county show will open the 23rd, and the drop-off, if people are interested in participating and having their art in the show, is this week. So.
Oh, got that, artists? There is a chance for you to exhibit at the Rahr West Art Museum, and the deadline is this week. This week. Okay. So, I think we're really lucky, Diana, because Ruth West really kind of kicked this all off with her, personal art collection, right? She started just buying pieces for herself, and then it expanded, and then eventually she bequeathed it to the museum. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, it started. The idea of having an art museum here started a little bit earlier than her, when the mansion was being used as a civic center, and it was being used for art exhibits as early as the 1950s. But I think when she got involved in the 70s and really started collecting, and she did buy the art for herself, but a lot of the art she purchased for the museum specifically. She was building a collection for the community intentionally. So I think that, it's really nice. It's a really great gift to give to the community, because it really allows us to pause and think and appreciate beauty in the world.
Any idea, do you know the total number of pieces in the collection?
Oh, sure. It's just under 3,000 pieces. And the John D. West, Mrs. John D. West collection is about 400 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah. So she got involved.
I was going to say something.
I know.
Got it. And I waited. You go.
I love that she had the forethought. I love that, she was thinking outside of herself, and now she's had this lasting impact. And, there's a reason that there's a mural dedicated to Ruth West downtown, because that's just beautiful.
Yeah. And she really, I think that the West family did a lot for the community too, not only through the museum and what she's done here, but just having the garden available as a space to go out and enjoy the nature and the beautiful flowers, and then the establishment of the foundation. They've done a lot in this community. They should be real proud of.
Yeah, our producer is going to put up the hours. These are the hours of the Rahr West Art Museum so that people can stop by and check out the exhibits, especially the contemporary art exhibits that Diana was mentioning, the Adkins and the Gonzalez pieces. And of course, everything else that's happening at the museum is pretty cool.
And there are some other programs coming up in the next month. So if people follow us on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok even, do you guys do TikTok?
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to have a TikTok challenge, so that'll be fun. So look for those things.
Tell us a little bit more about that. How is the museum using TikTok?
I just started, so we haven't been using it a lot, but we're going to be putting together little videos of these two pieces in particular and asking people to react. There's a really, really cool, there's so many, I think TikTok is really cool. There's so many really interesting things that you can do with it that are accessible and artistic. I think it allows people to be a creator in a different way. But there's this really cool feature where you can duet. So I can react to your video and it'll show both of the videos at once. So it's a really interesting way that people can put out their own interpretations of the work.
Oh, that's very cool.
It is cool. What a cool way to integrate technology into what you guys have going on there.
Yeah.
And to connect with the younger generation too. That is brilliant. That's the legacy. That's what's going to really keep everything going. You know, one thing about the Adkins piece, you were talking about art, when those symbols go off, it's kind of cool because no matter what else you're doing in the museum, you hear that and it's almost like the art is raising its hand and saying, all right, look at me, pay attention to me. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It does. You can't avoid it. You can hear it in the basement too.
And how often does it go off? About every 8 minutes?
About 8 to 12 minutes, yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I really want to bring my son over there to check it out. How long will those exhibits be there?
These pieces will be here in the lounge through September 13th. The Felix Gonzalez Torres piece, we're going to keep a little bit longer. It'll probably be here through the end of the month, the end of September. But the Atkin piece has to go back so it can go to another museum.
Ah, so people have just 1 month, essentially, from today to enjoy that piece.
Yep.
Very cool.
Good. I love it. That makes me want to get my kids over there this week and check it out. I think they would love that.
I think all you have to do is mention that there's candy.
Okay? Yeah, there's candy.
Diana, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, bring your mask when you come. We appreciate that. We do have some masks available that we can give you if you don't have one.
Awesome.
Diana, this was awesome. Thank you so much for carving a little bit of time out of your morning to have this conversation with us. And thank you for everything that you're doing. We are so fortunate to have a public art museum here in the city of Manitowoc, the caliber of the Rahr West Art Museum. And so I really appreciate everything that you do and your passion in keeping it going.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Hey, do you want to guess how many gummies are in this jar?
I love that I moved my head. That's gonna help. I don't know, maybe 45.
Ooh,
That might be
maybe. We'll see. Stay tuned, and we'll let you know. Diana, thanks. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye.
Diana.
Bye. Wow, really, really cool. What a cool institution here.
Yeah, I feel like we, as you've already mentioned, I mean, we're just so lucky to have that here in our community. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, they basically run on donations there. It doesn't cost anything to go into the Rahr West. Is that correct?
Right. There is no admission charged. So you've got access to this great collection, rotating collections, art coming from bigger cities and other locales, and there's no cost there to enjoy it.
Right.
Which is amazing. So
incredible. I was actually there for a bridal shower last weekend, and I just was again reminded on how beautiful that building is and how lucky we are to have it right here.
And so fortunate that people were forward thinking enough to maintain that and to dedicate it to those services.
Right. Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Wendy.
I was just going to say, I think we touched on a little bit about the West Foundation, but they do so much in our community, especially supporting nonprofits, that without the West Foundation, some of the grants and the work that they do with our nonprofits, some of our nonprofits don't think would exist without that continued support. So, it's incredible, the history there and the way that it has impacted our community.
I agree. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you one last look at this, and then our producer is going to go to a quick little break. And in the chat, now is the time. Tell me, how many gummies do you think are in this jar? You guys, today's program is brought to you by Vagabond Creative Studio and Grow with KLO. We are so happy that you are joining us. All right, let's take a look. Does anybody have a number in the chat? There's 0. Nobody wants to guess.
Okay.
All right, last chance. If you get the number right.
I mean, just so you guys know, my guess was 67. I have no idea if that's good or not.
All right, so Kristin guessed 67. Diana guessed 45. Any other guesses? Wendy Kohlmeyer's guessing 55.
Right in the middle.
Bonita is guessing 32. Anyone else?
Come on.
I could eat one. Would that make it more skew the numbers?
I'm just going to say Bueller. Ooh, Tina, let's see your mug today. Star Wars?
Oh, yeah. The Force is with me today.
I like it.
Oh, and then it looks like maybe, is this the dark side on this side? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Then it quickly switches.
I would just like to point out you were drinking from the dark side.
Well, but if I don't drink from the dark side, then you have to see the dark side. So Whoa. I'm taking one for the team.
Drink from the dark side or see the dark side. Wow.
Right?
What a choice today.
So what do you think, Kristin? Do we want to choose the number, whoever guessed that is closest?
Is it closest without going over?
Is that how it works on The Price is Right? Closest without going over?
Yes.
Okay. Should we do it now or do we want to wait 24 hours?
You know what? That's not a bad idea because then we can get a few more people to chime in.
Okay, let's do this. Let's
writing the CPR kit.
I really do want to try it out. I think it's a great, skill to pass on. I've taken multiple CPR courses in my life. I used to be a lifeguard when I was in high school, and I'm just really glad to have that skill.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So you have 24 hours. Tomorrow morning, we will post who got the closest or who hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
And I'll try not to eat any before then.
Tina, have you ever had to give CPR?
Say that again.
Have you ever had to give CPR?
No. Fortunately, no. Thank God, no.
I know. That is good. I have had to do the Heimlich maneuver a couple of times, but I've never had to give CPR.
I did have to rescue a girl from the pool once, and that, that was terrifying, but a successful outcome.
Good.
But yeah.
Every time we do this show, you guys, every time I do this show, I learn something new about Tina I had no idea before.
Thanks. It's because I'm old. I've lived a long, long life, Kristin.
Old. Good Lord.
Well, as always, this has been so much fun. Thank you, Kristin, for taking time out of your day to have this awesome conversation. Thanks to everybody who's watching that participated with us. You really just make life on the coolest coast awesome. We'll look forward to seeing you next time on Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Bye, guys. Have a great
Bye.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.